You should be mindful not to make too much noise, however, as the loud sounds can attract the monsters. When encountering the monster, you will begin to lose sanity. As you may have noticed, you will start to perspire greatly, breathe heavily, lose vision, and empty your bladder.
Oi, Jason Letterman, welcome back to the time for spoops, because spoops are life, spoops are love, spoops are the form of nanomachines, son! I'm sorry, I'm just excited for today's subject. Now, we have talked about some classics in the horror game industry, but what about those that pioneered the entire genre, when the entire horror gaming industry was just...
Backup, and we need it right now.
Roger that. Just stay tight. I'm on my way.
You hear that, Sheva? Help's on the way.
Got it. Just hope he gets here quick.
What? Is that any way to talk to me?
Behind you! Quick!
What?
Yeah, that. It was fucking oversaturated, boring, annoying, and so fucking cancerous. While horror games on consoles became almost dead, the PC got a lot of selections. For many years, the internet has had a barrage of independent-made horror games. Some with a lot of backing, and some free that nobody would even imagine they exist. Some even inspired by folk stories, some by literature, and even fucking creepypastas. But the boom was kind of small compared to other times in the horror game industry. But thanks to one game, the boom doubled in size. The Penumbra series was one that was put on the gaming industry map as somewhat of an enigmatic and confusing project that was so well made. It was chunky, it was choppy, but goddamn, the story was so good. It was all made through text and audio, and it made you want to explore more in order to get so much out of the story. It all depended on you, and honestly, that's what I fucking love. Except the textures always threw me off. I could not find shit most of the time. Little by little, by discovering in the story, you realize that you cannot trust even your surroundings. You cannot even trust yourself. And realize that the worst fears don't come from the unknown. they come from humanity. This series really plays with the idea of the twisted human perception, having people infected with some kind of plague and have the bare minimum of intelligence and the only remnants of the surrounding areas of their past and happenings. It gives to the story the sensation of how much happened. That series of games was what the developers used as training wheels in order to create the pioneering game that influenced so many in the community of freeware and horror independent games so much that to this day, we still see the effects of it. A franchise that impacted not only the gaming industry, but the YouTube community and its entertainment evolution with gaming. And it expanded the boom not tenfold, but 100-fold.
Don't forget, some things mustn't be forgotten. The shadow hunting me. I must hurry. My name is Daniel. I live in London at Mayfair. What have I done? This is crazy. Don't forget. Don't forget. I must stop him. Focus. My name is... I am Daniel.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent is a Lovecraftian explorative horror in the 1830s with a very deep and interactive premise that just hits you. It is a story of a redeeming person that did horrible acts that would even make the most vile villains in history wrench their stomachs. It's a story about the research of the occult and the mystical just to awaken things that humans should never come across, and to realize that the research and creations from these people would conclude with some grotesque sides. The creatures in Amnesia are a fucking thrill to behold. They look painful to the eye and fucking horrendous. It is true horror and gaming design. And holy shit, the creature in the water, in the pool, in the hall, god damn, I don't know what it is. I cannot see it. There's no models of it. But I truly am so fucking spooked by it, but I just have nightmares about it, dude.
Hi, kids.
While Amnesia: The Dark Descent was one that revolutionized the entire horror genre to where it needed to go, it wasn't my favorite. While I highly appreciate the Lovecraft inspiration and hints, I honestly feel like it lacked the impact of repercussion. It was just demanding to me. I needed to keep track of both sanity and health, and when I tried to keep your heart rate low, it just fucking stressed me beyond belief. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love its harrowing theme and the whole aesthetic, but honestly, the one inspired by the one novel I fucking love, Lord of the Flies, is the one that is my favorite to this day. Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. Oh god, I fucking love this. Play the Lord of the Flies song!
Saints and sinners, something within us. We are Lord of the Flies.
Nevertheless, Amnesia: Machine for Pigs was the least liked by the community because of the high expectations people had. But in all due honesty, I think it did much better than the last one. No, hear me out. Hear me out before you shoot me down to the fucking railways. For me, what a Machine for Pigs is just a fucking twisted story in the 1890s, as an indirect sequel to the original. No sanity meter to look after, and fuck off with the water creature. But the story is so twisted and disturbing. Machine for Pigs introduces Oswald Mandus. What fucking kind of a name is that? Who the fuck names their child Oswald Mandus? That fucking name sounds more British than halitosis-infested mouse. Mendes comes back from an expedition to Mexico and having no memory of what happened other than that he has to save his children. And little by little you entangle the truth. The realization of who this insane and disturbed villain in your research facility in London has grown rampant, and how could you stop it? The story is morbid. It hits you with that enigmatic feeling, yet once you uncover the truth, little by little, you realize how fucked up humanity can be and how messed up the brain can become from it. Aww, cute piggy. Ah! Scary piggy! Run! The fear of war is something that humanity has dealt with since the universal destruction wave that has left throughout history. And the reality of the situation is that they will keep on coming, as we have seen in current times. Mendes was naive in thinking that his actions could help a war to be stopped from coming. And then, you find the answer of whoever this researcher was in this place. The pigs. The first time you encounter the pig disturbing symbolism and the quotes of voices in your echoing schizophrenia, it makes you shiver. It's a literal disturbing feeling. Like, who would worship pigs so much to the point of making a crucifix? Or, who would love them so much to create weapons out of them? The man-pigs are one of the most disturbing creatures you can find in horror games. They are not mutations. They're not fucking furries. The pigmen were once human. They were put together to be aggressive, intelligent beings that could overpower any army and still work in unison like an army. They can scout, they can act with weaponry, they can resist weaponry, and they can also be formed into these electricity-bursting beasts that just become a sight that you cannot look away from. You can see in the details of the stitches of the homunculus that they are. How they were put together is not only a missing question, but also a never-ending barrage of hows and whys that do not come with an easy answer. Fuck all that, I'm sticking to the cute and quirky little pigs and don't starve. The intensity of the situation is that while the Dark Descent was always embroiled in isolation in a mansion with no people, you're stuck in this research facility that is open to the streets of London. That is more insane. You know, when walking out in the middle of the night, you could hear civilians. You know there is people out there. Some couple fucking possibly, I don't know. But it hinges on the fact that if I fail, all of London, no, all of England could fall in the quake of the creations of this harrowing path, and it all rests in my hands. Machine for Pigs, aside from its heavy symbolism, it plays a lot with the puzzles, making you feel like making noises, the exposure of yourself in the light, using lighting, and overextending yourself will all put you to the side of the pig creatures. And it fucking drains on your stress humongously. They are aggressive, they know how to stalk you, and they also are intelligent enough to know when you are around and how you could hide. And solving the puzzles is not only the survival of this game, but it plays with your perception. It makes you feel extra paranoid of your surroundings. Every corner could be a monstrous fallback, or you could be just so paranoid that you are looking in the wrong direction of trouble and be attacked from the other side. The worst part about Amnesia games is that you have no method of defense compared to other games like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and others where you can fight back. It truly plays with your sense of helplessness. You cannot grab a gun and go pew pew pew, no! You can only run and hide, and hope for the best. You can pray all you want to your Lord to help you when that creature gets near your presence and finally smells you, but what is a god to a monster? That is a true sense of dread. To me, the fact that this game represents so much is the idea of demons being nothing more than humans with its symbolism. Humans are capable of the most amazing and wonderful things with the proper motivation. But as such, we are also capable of the most harrowing and horrific things that any human eye could witness. A human's life is an angel's dream, and a demon's nightmare.
Come and see, Papa. We found an egg. A stone egg.
Bandaged and eyes, small bones in the orchard. I have carried this world on my back with its legs about me. Damn this wretched soul. I am given birth to nothing but machinery.
I will pause this right here post-editing, because there's something I did not notice while editing, and it actually shook me. This is not scripted, but I'm gonna express it willingly. One of the songs in this game was originally written in German, and the song is a reference that even though I cannot find any single true thoughts that would actually connect to it, for some reason it really echoes as if it was a poem written by a victim in a very dark place, which I'm not gonna go into detail, but Honestly, the lyrics of his song are so beautifully dark, I have no words to express. In all due honesty, kudos.
I don't like that.
The idea of humanity becoming nothing more than creatures that embroil themselves in greed, gluttony, pettiness, etc. The corruption of humanity and its growth, making it look like we are the ones that should be eradicated. And the worst part is that you start to feel for the villain of the story little by little. So many times I started to just sit down and witness how little by little this villain that tortures so many people lost its way. How you can see he had the intentions to help humanity, but his actions speak no more as a monster than the ones he was trying to eradicate. Creating monsters himself that could twist the idea of godhood and realize that humans could become more than just monsters among men. But which is the most disturbing monster here? The one who holds the hatchet to cannibalize your corpse, and you still feel your entrails being strangled out of your carcass? Or the one who created them with the most vile hatred for humanity? And to me, the most impacting thing is how this game embodies dread to a whole new level. I'm about to spoil the entire fucking game, so if you haven't played this game that is almost 10 years old, go ahead and fucking play it and then come back over here. But yeah, just be mindful. I'm gonna be about to blow your fucking mind off. After so much exploration and so much research, patiently learning not only that your twin children have already been dead for a long time, sacrificed to a replica of the Aztec temple Mendes once witnessed, but to fail in a ritual that cannot stop a single weapon to be shot.
I beg your pardon?
But to learn who the villain is, who designed these creatures, who put together these human carcasses to become these homunculi, who created this machine, who replicated the Aztec temple, was all along you.
Hey, that's fucked up.
Mendes, in an act to eradicate the fear of war, went deep into his paranoia, his fear and his passion for science, that he created an army of his own purpose. But he also feared so much having his children die in the war, that he sacrificed them to the change of the world, not knowing that the ritual was a failure. And his machine was now programmed in constant process for creating these mechanized monsters in order to run rampant in the streets of London. The man I saw that I could feel get twisted little by little was Mendes all along, and it brings the idea that you yourself are your own villain to your adversity. The challenges you face in the world will always be enlarged by your own personal demons, and the demons we create shall run rampant in our own labyrinth, creating and spreading more. We are all an everlasting machine for pigs, disgusting twisted pigs that shall corrupt the land. Diseases shall spread, their own screaming shall be consumed by their own, and their corpses shall be lifted and worshipped as if they were martyrs, not knowing how many tears their own creator sheds, seeing how disgusting his creation has become. That is dread embodied. In a final act of redemption, after finally deactivating the machine that creates and controls the pig creatures, Mendes destroys the machine to be in a giant coffin of a quake beneath the deepest, darkest of London. And within the machine, Mendes killing himself, not being able to live anymore, knowing all of the horrid things he has done throughout his path. Death not being his own redemption, but a release of his most horrible actions, the pain, the horror, the guilt, including the killing of his own children. A Machine for Pigs hits in so many levels of darkness that it makes you sit and question your sanity. I had to rethink over and over if I truly wanted to talk about this game and the effects it gives, and realize that the love for this game out there is mostly barren, being overdosed by its predecessors and the community creations that mod the entire original game and create their own stories that hold so much fucking good story. And even to this day, they still work on more and more that play with both your mind and your emotion. But my favorite will always be A Machine for Pigs. One game that truly shows me how the term of a Lord of the Flies is nothing more than a quaking gape to the reality of human nature. How one pig can mean so many things, yet be so little of a man. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Usually I would just leave you with the credits and some fucking music that I really love that is part of the game, but honestly, I need to show you the audio of one of the most harrowing, darkest, yet most humane poems I've ever heard from a video game. This is not from a movie. This is not from history. This is clearly an echo from the history of humanity, from multiple eras up to today, and ironically, and honestly, I need to leave this here, and you'll understand why. Until next time.
I have stood knee-deep in mud and bone and filled my lungs with mustard gas. I have seen 2 brothers fall. I have lain with holy wars and copulated with the autumnal fallout. I have dug trenches for the refugees. I have murdered dissidents where the ground never thaws and starved the masses into faith. A child's shadow burnt into the brickwork. A house of skulls in the jungle. The innocent Manders trod and bled and gassed and starved and beaten and murdered and enslaved. This is your coming century. They will eat the Manders. They will make pigs of you all, and they will bury their snouts into your ribs, and they will eat your hearts.
I lay there and watched the god I had created die. At the end, when we were cold as the stone we had hewn his body from, when the lights were nearly all extinguished, we heard, in the silent distance, the man-pigs singing to one another. Then, as the last lights were gone, and we lay together in the deep, they drifted away, and all was silent. Such a silence I have never known. And as the dust settled on my open eyes, and we lay together embraced forever, I heard, miles above us, the sounds of the city turning over in its sleep. A church bell ringing out. And in that moment, the new century was born.